So in the previous video, we discussed about it, how to define a function interface and how to use lambdas with function interfaces to get the result out of it. But to fulfill each real-time requirement, as a programmer, we need not define n number of function interfaces. So in the Java 8 itself, Java people have provided the required function interfaces to fulfill the real-time scenarios. Then what are those and where they are present is the next question, right? Then here, all these predefined function interfaces are present in java.util.function package. So all these predefined function interfaces are present in this Java util function package. And inside this package, so we have a predicate, function, consumer, supplier. So these are the four predefined function interfaces with which we can write any of the required lambda expressions and we can get the results out of it. It's very easy, right? Because we have to define a function interface for every requirement, then as a programmer, at least we have to define 20, 30, 40. But Java said that, yes, we are going to provide these four function interfaces with which you can write any of the real-time requirements in terms of lambda. Correct? So then, what is this predicates, functions, consumers, suppliers? What is their behavior? First thing is, by default, predicate, function, consumer, by default, will accept a single input. By default, will accept any type of input, any type of single input, like one number, one character, one float, one double, one long, one employee, generic type also. And then supplier will not accept any inputs. Supplier with no inputs. Then here comes the next question. What if at all I want to work with two inputs? Then is it possible or not possible? Yes, it's possible. In the same package called as java.util.function itself, in the same package, Java has provided us by predicate and then followed by function and also by consumer because supplier has no inputs. So these by predicates, by function and by consumer will accept two inputs because in the name itself we have the meaning. Like if you are aware of in math terminology, there is something called as monomial, meaning a term, single term. Correct? In the simplest form, it's a single term, like x is a monomial. Then we also have a binomial. What's binomial? An expression with two terms, x plus y. Correct? No? Two different terms. We can't simplify further. It represents two different terms. That's what binomial means, two terms. Similarly, by means two inputs in this programming. Yeah. Yes. And each time you have to mention what are the two inputs. Then here also each time you have to mention what is that single input. But if at all I don't want to mention any of the inputs, then still is it possible or do we have any such support is the next point. Yes, without we mentioning the type, we can go for designated predicates like int predicate is available. Int predicate means we don't have to give the any input here. It takes by default, it will work for integer input. Like this, int predicate is available and also few more are available. Not everything from primitives. Not everything from primitives, only few are available. Then if you ask me which are those, then it's easy to understand or know that by moving to this Java API. What is the Java API? So here I'm just going for typing JSE API. So which is nothing but Java official documentation provided by the Oracle Corporation. If you open this JSE API website, in this we are talking about a specified package. What's the package name we are talking about? Java.util.function is the package. This is the package name we are talking about. If you click on this package, now in the bottom of this Explorer, we are going to get its classes. No, sorry, its interface and null classes both. What is the interface? By consumer, by function, then by predicate, then only a consumer, then followed by only a function, and then only a supplier, and only predicate. Then if you go for that specific types, then we don't have any byte predicate. You see in the spelling, B is starting letter, but there is no byte predicate. There is no double predicate is there, and then followed by int predicate is there, int function is there, int consumer is there, int supplier is there. That means here we need not to mention any of the inputs. By default it will take integer, and here also by default it takes doubles. Then we don't have any byte, we don't have any next one floats, but we have a integer and we have a double, because float job double will do it, byte and short job integer will do it, right? That's why. Then we have a long predicate, and also we don't have any boolean predicate, remember. Yeah, so from here we can easily understand which are available, which are not available to use. No, the next I want to understand so-and-so interface members. What we discussed already, let's go for java.util package. We discussed about java.util package, which is a package in which all the collections are there, scan class also there. Then out of this, if you go for one of the predefined entity called as list. List is one interface. Now here you will find everything about list. List is an interface, and then inside this list, what are the members are available? So here is a clear chat about all those. All methods of this list. Now I want only instance methods. Yes, these are the instance methods of the list. Then you want only upstanders of the list. These are the upstanders of the list. Then we want only default methods of this list. Yes, there are default methods of the list. And you can read the return type, then method name, and what's the purpose of this method. So all this documentation will help us to understand everything about Java. Only thing is we should understand and have the patience to learn this way. Correct? Then similarly, we are going to use these 4 function interfaces which are present in this Java function to understand what is the behavior of each one of them. What's the purpose of each one of them to start. Hello? So then one of them in any order is nothing but predicate. So what's the purpose of predicate? Predicate is one of the predefined function interface where the scenario is you take any input and what's the result or return type. For example, take a number, then return true if it is even, then return false if it is odd. Scenario number 1. The next, take a name. If this name, length of the name, that is number of the characters are more than 5, then return true, otherwise return false. Then take any employee data, and from this employee data there can be a salary part also, right? If employee salary is more than 50,000, if salary is more than 50,000, then get that employee data, otherwise ignore the employee data. The next, you can take a student object, and from this student scenario, if student marks are greater than say 60, then only print the student details like name, roll number, and then how many marks they got. So in these scenarios, if you just observe the result type, what's the type of result? True or false? Length is more than 5 is yes or no scenario. Salary is greater than 50,000 is yes or no scenario. Then similarly, marks are greater than 60, yes or no scenario. That is type of input, example 1, integer. Then type of input, example 2, string. Then type of 3 is the generic input of employee and generic input of student type. But where the result is always yes or no means Boolean type only. Then when our expert return type is Boolean, then always prefer predicate. That's it. If your result is Boolean type, then use predicate. We know to define an interface by ourselves. Then that's what's the purpose of predicate. That predicate is used when return value is a Boolean. And the predicate accepts any type of input to test the condition. Yeah. So then, what's syntax of the predicate? Because it's a function interface, what's the syntax? Public interface name, and here this T means any generic type of input. I think as a part of animation I have. That is type of input to this predicate operation. Then because it's a function interface predefined, then it should have how many abstract methods? Only one. Public abstract by default, and then return type is Boolean. Predicate has a function name or method name called as test, which takes by default single input type and its variable, like int x. And because it's a function interface with annotation of function interface annotation. So this is what is the purpose of predicate? Interface which takes an input and which returns true by testing the condition. And here is the predicate has a method name called as test or function name called as test. Am I clear? Yes, sir. So then let's write the same examples that we discussed about it. Now do we need to define the function interfaces of our choice? Not required. So we can use the predicate for all Boolean scenarios. What's the first one? Example 1. Take a number and if it is even, return true. If it is odd, return false. Then for this scenario, what's the lambda? How many inputs are required? One input only. So single input means a variable is, params are optional, type is optional. Then what's the scenario? Number modulo 2 double equals 0 is a condition. If yes, even, true. If no, false. Yeah. Then since this lambda expressions cannot work alone, then we have to use a function interface. Then do we need to define anything? No, we already have a predefined called as which one? Predicate, and take predicate and mention the type. What's the type? This n should be of which type? Integer only. It's not a primitive. We can't use int. We have to go for generic type called as integer. Then some predicate reference p1. Then how to use this p1? Use the print function to call followed by predicate reference p1 dot. By using predicate, which method we can call? Inside the function interface, we have one method. What's the method? Test. Then use the test method, which takes how many inputs? One integer input. Then you give any number there. And because 10 is even, we are going to get the output as Boolean. That is true. Similarly, print of p1 dot test of 11. What are we going to get? False. So that's all. We are not defining any interface. We are just writing a lambda and using the predefined function interface for the current scenario. Okay. The next, let's go for one more example. Take name as input, and if a first character is A, then return true, else return false. Then this is a requirement. Write a lambda for this. Yes for a string because name is a string. Lambda expression. How to get first letter of the string? Yes, string reference dot char at method with index number 0, which returns first character of the string. Then what it's supposed to be? Double equals to compare, and it should be character comparison. That is A in single quotes. Now take a string, get first letter. If it is A, then return true, otherwise return false. Then for this scenario also, we have to go for predicate. We need not to define any interface. An example, predefined one is predicate, generic type, string, then some reference name, p2. Then use this p2 with test function. That is p2 dot test of, say, a string called as James. And then system dot out dot println a p2 dot test of. Again, we have to provide a string only, say Anand. Now what's output? It's false because it's not A as a first letter. What's output here? True because it's A as a first letter. That's how we write lambdas. We use the predicates to get the results. Am I clear? Yes. So we'll see these two examples through Eclipse execution and then we go for one employee or one student example, which is the generic example. So first, let's understand these through the Eclipse. I'll create a new class name of programmer choice. I'll give as predicate example. And in some package, then com dot function interface is my package name. FI is the short form I'm using. Then inside this, first consider the main method to execute the program. Then followed by example number one, take a number and return true for even, else false. Return true for even, else false. Then for this, what is the lambda expression? Any variable, then arrow symbol or lambda symbol, then even number logic, number modulo 2 equal to 0, comparison to 0. Now alone lambda will not work. Therefore, we have to use the predefined function interfaces called as predicate is a suitable scenario for this. Then followed by what's the type? Generic type is integer. Then some reference name of predicate and with its equivalent form of lambda to the right side. Now, why are we getting error? Because predicate is one predefined function interface which is present in lang package or other package. What's the package in which the predicate is present? Java dot util dot function is a package name, right? Then if we don't import, then we are not allowed to use the interfaces or classes. Then import it. Syntax, please. Import space java dot util dot function dot predicate is a entity name. Now that's a syntactically correct. Util dot is missing. Function. Yeah, function spelling is wrong. Yeah, of course I can go for shortcut, but to make you understand, I'm just typing it. Now it's working fine. Then by using this predicate reference, which method we can call? Can we call any method of our choice, or we must call predicate method only? We must call predicate method only, which is nothing but test method. Now what's the input that it takes? Integer, then give some integer. Then also we'll go for one more p1 dot test of 11 is one more example I'm taking. So 10 is in even, therefore true, 11 is odd, therefore false should be the output. Let's run the program to cross value. This is example number one. Now similarly, we can go for example number two, that is take a first letter is A or any number, any string value which starts with A or not is the second example. I recommend you to practice that. Then let's go for one real-time scenario. Either employee or products or students or customers, bank, like these are the day-to-day life scenarios. Then let's take one such example, that is write a predicate which accepts employee as input and returns employee data, that is name, ID, salary, all those things, whose salary is greater than so and so number, 50,000. So if this is a scenario, then how are you going to develop this requirement? So for this, first, do we need employee class or not? Yes. Do we need employee objects or not? And a collection of employee objects or not? Then on that collection, we have to work on with predicates. So let's go for the step-by-step approach. Inside this package, I'm taking a new class called as employee. The employee class should have what fields? Int type of ID, or more preferably a private type of int ID, then a private string name, then followed by a private or int or double, you can go for anything. I'm keeping it simple as salary. Then for these three variables, I'm using a Lombok annotation called as @data. Do we have it? No, because there is no dependency. It's a normal project only. Then let's go for manual generation of getters and setters. Source, then getters and setters. Just a second. Then go to the source, generate getters and setters. Yes for all. Then click generate. Done. Then also go to source once again. Then generate a constructor using fields to create the objects. Then source and generate constructor from superclass, that is no arguments constructor. This is called as one general model class or entity class. Then followed by, now can we create the employee objects because we have employee class? Yes. Create the employee objects. Syntax please. New employee is the syntax of employee with appropriate constructor. So which package? The current package employee class I am taking, not some other packages. We are in com.fi. That package employee class only I am taking. Now we supposed to provide the data of ID number, say 101, then name, say I'll go for James. The next some salary, I'll take 50,000. This is the employee object number 1. So I'll go for E1. Then similarly, we can go for N number, but let me limit this discussion to one more object called as E2 and whose ID is 102 and the name I'll go for Gosling. And let's keep the salary as 40,000. Now, how to make a collection of employees? So we discussed about it during corrections called as arrays dot as list is a method where we can add the objects very quickly instead of going for each time add method, which returns one list of generic type of objects. Then I'll go for some list reference. Now we have an employee collection is ready. Then write a lambda predicate. A predicate which returns true if salary is more than 50,000. Then what's the lambda expression for this? EMB for employee is a variable name, a lambda. From employee object reference, then we have to get the salary by using get salary method. If the salary is more than 50,000, then return true. That's a true scenario. So then I'll keep the salary as 60,000. One of them at least we're supposed to get, no, either none of them. Then this is lambda expression will not work alone. Then to be used with which one? Predefined function interfaces. Currently scenario is a Boolean type. Then we can use a predicate which is already imported. Then predicate generic type is employee. This time it's not salary because we are taking the employee as reference here, not the salary as reference. Now this is the correct lambda. We are taking employee, but our required condition is based on the salary of the employee. That's what we are using getters from the employee entity. Then this is a predicate. Now can we iterate the collections? How to iterate collection? For each loop to be used, then type employee collection, reference name E for employee of programmer choice, then colon employee collection name called as list. Then if we go for system.out.println to print it, what are we going to get? Every employee data we are going to get. But is it every employee data or based on the predicate we want? Because predicate has a condition that the salary should be more than 50,000. That's why don't print every employee, print the condition which predicate satisfies. Then how to use it? Use the condition. What's the condition? If predicate reference called as P2 dot which method? Test, which takes employee that is E as a for each loop reference name. Then only print such type of employee data with the help of getters. So I'll use the print statement to print it. What is supposed to do? E dot get the ID, then concat string separation, concat E dot get name, then concat string separation, then concat E dot get salary. So this is the lambda expression. Previous print statements, I'll stop it or I'll comment out. Then let's run the program to cross verify. What we supposed to get? Both employees data or only one employee data? Because the condition is more than 50,000, only one employee has that requirement. Let's run to cross verify. Are we getting or not? Yeah, this is a generic way. Now we can go for print the employee details whose name starts with so and so. Print the employees who is working for so and so department. Like that, if you go for multiple fields, then multiple requirements comes as a real-time scenario. This is one example to understand how can we use a predicate with real-time level. Hello. So this is about predicate, and I'll stop here. In our next session, we'll continue with functions, consumers, suppliers. Thank you. Please do practice. If you just listen and leave it, it looks like complication. But if you start using it in your day-to-day programming, don't write a traditional style. Please start writing everything in terms of Java 8 style. That will make more familiar and more simpler. Thank you. See you next video.